Hey guys, Fallout over here, back with another Fallout video, and today I have a really fun one. I've wanted to do this ever since I got my YouTube channel, and I just haven't had the chance to until now. And what I tried to do for this video is I tried to recreate as many classic weapons from Fallout as I could in Fallout 76. So for me personally, I consider a classic game to be anything before Fallout 4. I also did not include spin-offs, as the spin-offs really didn't have that many weapons that could be recreated in 76, or at least I didn't think they did. I think Tactics might have had like one or two, and that's it. Shelter had none, and we don't talk about the other one. Before we get started, I have a few things I would like to mention. I renamed all of the weapons that I recreated in Fallout 76 so that they had the same names as their classic counterparts, and also, for the Fallout 1 and 2 weapons, I used images from the Fallout Wiki, as they had way higher quality images than the ones I could get. And when it comes to Fallout 3 in Vegas, I am not the best photographer, but I tried my best to take images of that. And also, I tried my best with these. They might not be 100% accurate. Some of them are pretty accurate, but not all of them. So just take some of these with a grain of salt. To start off our list of weapons, we will start with Fallout 1 and 2, and our first weapon from these two games are the brass knuckles. For our next weapon, we will be creating the cattle prod, which is very similar to the brass knuckles, where you can just create a cattle prod and you're already done. Dynamite can be recreated by using a dynamite bundle. It's also the only weapon I forgot to rename. The flare can be recreated easily by using a flare. For the knife, I used an unmodified version of the Bowie knife. And for the last of our Fallout 1 weapons, and the only gun from Fallout 1 that we will be recreating, was the shotgun. Every single gun and weapon from Fallout 1 has made it into Fallout 2, so instead of showing you them all again, I'm just going to go straight into Fallout 2, starting with the 44 Magnum revolver. For our next weapon, we have the boxing gloves, which may not be quite as red, but they are still boxing gloves, and they do have the little tape at the end, so they're close enough. To recreate the Louisville Slugger, I took a regular baseball bat and renamed it Louisville Slugger. For one of my favorite Fallout weapons, we have the PPK-12 Gauss pistol. For this one, I would recommend, if you played through Season 2, if you have the special issue paint. This one I feel like works a little bit better than the standard paint, as the one in Fallout 2 is kind of more grayish than chrome. For the next weapon that I am surprised that is not in Fallout 1, we have the Switchblade, which we will definitely see again. And last but certainly not least, for the Fallout 1 and 2 guns, we have the Tommy gun. The only thing that I do not have is the front handle, which is just not an option in Fallout 76. To kick things off with Fallout 3, we have the 10mm pistol, which is probably the most iconic weapon in Fallout history. Another classic that I'm glad made it back into Fallout 76, we have the 10mm submachine gun, which honestly, I think is a little underrated. It's actually not that bad of a gun. The most recent gun added in Fallout 76 is based off of the Alien Disintegrator, and actually does a really good job at recreating this. For our favorite weapon for the weirdos at Point Lookout, we have the axe, which is another easy to recreate weapon. The baseball bat is another easy weapon. All you have to do is just take a standard baseball bat and it's already named for you. Once again, we have the brass knuckles because they have appeared in every single Fallout game, so we will never be able to escape their wrath. For our first kind of controversial weapon, we have the Chinese assault rifle, which can only be recreated if you have the communist skin from the Atomic Shop. Sorry for those of you who do not have it. The Chinese officer sword is another pretty standard weapon that can be found in Fallout 76. To recreate the combat knife, I just used a combat knife with no attachments on it. For my favorite shotgun in Fallout history, we have the combat shotgun, which is another pretty easy one to recreate. The only difference is the drum mag is not at the front of the gun anymore. For the double barrel shotgun, I recreated it by using a double barrel shotgun, which does look slightly different but at the same time you can still see some similarities, so I figured it was good enough. For the Fat Man, it can be easily recreated by using a Fat Man. Never would have guessed. Another one of the most iconic weapons in Fallout history, we have the hunting rifle, which is probably one of my favorite weapons to try and recreate in Fallout 76. Up next, we have Jingwei's shock sword, which is slightly different than the Fallout 3 version, but functionality-wise, it's similar. Up next, we have another weapon that is going to be quite exclusive, which is only going to be obtained by the pint-sized slasher bundle, so not everyone is going to be able to recreate this weapon, sadly, but here it is anyways. Up next, we have the lead pipe, which is exactly as you would expect it to look. It's a lead pipe. Shocker. Up next, we have the most recognizable energy weapon in Fallout with the laser rifle. Up next, we have a super mutant's favorite plank of wood with nails in it. Pretty simple weapon. Up next, we have another one that might be a stretch, but they serve the same purpose, so I just assume they're the same weapon. Up next, we have the pole cue. For some reason, the only difference is it has less detail, but it's still a pole cue nonetheless. Our next weapon is the rolling pin, which is a certified kitchen classic. Our last Fallout 3 exclusive Atomic Shop skin will be for the samurai sword. The scoped 44 Magnum is another easy to create weapon by just taking a regular revolver and putting a scope on it. This one might be a bit cheating, but the shock baton has sort of been recreated in Fallout 76, but in a two-handed version. Once again, we have another weapon such as the sledgehammer, which can be easily recreated by just using that weapon. For our next weapon, we have another return of the switchblade. Our last melee weapon of Fallout 3 will be finished off with the tire iron. And for our last Fallout 3 weapon, we have the tri-beam laser rifle, which looks slightly different in Fallout 76 functionality-wise, but if you want it more looks-wise, you can take off the splitter barrel. To start off everyone's favorite Western Fallout game, which also has the most guns, we will be starting with the 357 Magnum revolver. Our next Fallout New Vegas weapon will be the 44 Magnum revolver again, but this time without a scope, just like in Fallout 2. While the 45 submachine gun is similar to the Tommy gun, it is slightly different as the front handle is not needed and it also does not have a compensator. Once again, we have the 10mm pistol, which also returned in Fallout New Vegas. Our next reoccurring weapon is the 10mm submachine gun once again. Our next gun is a surprising appearance from the 12.7mm pistol. For all of you golfers out there, Fallout 76 does include a version of the 9-iron. We have another reappearance of the baseball bat, which is pretty much exactly the same as all the ones from the other games. Up next we have the binoculars, which might be a bit of a stretch as they do look somewhat different than the Fallout New Vegas versions, but they function the exact same. They're binoculars. Can't really have too much difference with them. We have another iteration of the boxing gloves. This time only they look a little bit more closer to the ones you can recreate in Fallout 76. For the last time today, we have the brass knuckles, which are exactly the same as they were from Fallout 3. Once again, we have another really easy one to recreate with the cattle prod, which is exactly the same as the one from Fallout 2. For our next weapon, we have the cleaver, which is very similar to the meat cleaver which you can get from Meat Week. The only difference is this one is actually a throwable weapon. For the combat knife, I once again used a combat knife. with no attachments on it. Next up, we have the Easy Pete Special, Dynamite. Another really easy one to recreate by just simply using dynamite. The Fat Man can be recreated once again by using just a regular Fat Man with nothing on it. The Fire Axe is a pretty common melee weapon that can be found in Fallout 76, primarily on Scorched. Up next, we have another spot-on weapon with the Grenade Rifle. The only difference with Fallout 76, as in this game, the front sight is flipped down. Up next, we have the Hatchet, which is pretty similar to its Fallout 76 version. The only major difference is it doesn't have the silver point at the end of the metal, and it doesn't have a grip. The Fallout New Vegas hunting rifle is the exact same as the one from Fallout 3. The only major difference is this one has glow sights, while the Fallout 3 one does not. For a weapon that I'm still kind of mixed on in Fallout 76, we have the Industrial Hand. The only major difference is you don't hold it down like you do in New Vegas, it's just a single punch forward, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. For our first atomic chop weapon for Fallout New Vegas, we have the Katana, which is very similar to the Samurai Sword from Fallout 3. For our last atomic chop weapon for Fallout New Vegas, we once again have the Knife, which is only obtainable from the Pint-Sized Slasher bundle. Up next, we have the Fallout New Vegas version of the Laser Rifle, which is the exact same version as the Fallout 3 Laser Rifle. Our next weapon is the Lead Pipe, which is, once again, still a lead pipe. Up next, we have everybody's favorite stick with nails in it once again. For our next weapon, we have my favorite heavy weapon in all of Fallout, the Plasma Caster, which works best with the Army issue paint. If not, you can still get away with using the base one, and it works just fine. Up next, we have the Police Baton again, which I used a security baton for. The rolling pin can be easily recreated by using an unmodified rolling pin. The sledgehammer can once again be easily recreated in Fallout 76 by using a standard sledgehammer with no attachments on it. For the last appearance of the Switchblade, it is recreated the exact same as all of the other ones previously. Up next, we have the Time Bomb, which is the exact same as Dynamite from Fallout 2, and also easily recreated by using a Dynamite bundle. Just like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas' last melee weapon that we will be talking about today is the Tire Iron. For our last main weapon of today's video, we have the Tri-Beam Laser Rifle, which, just like the Fallout 3 one, functionality-wise, looks a bit different, but if you wanted to go for looks, you could take off the front beam splitter. Before I end the video, I have two honorable mentions I would like to talk about, the first one being the Auto Axe. I do not have PTS footage of the Auto Axe, on top of the fact that it looks slightly different from the one that we're going to be receiving when the pit drops this Tuesday. So the Auto Axe, it's kind of similar, but also kind of not, so I'll give it an honorable mention. The other honorable mention that I would like to note is that the Zap Glove from Fallout New Vegas contains a micro fusion pack on top of it, and similarly, in Fallout 76, the Gauntlet also has a micro fusion pack on top of it. I thought this was interesting because in Fallout 76, we don't actually use micro fusion packs. So whether you wanted a taste of Fallout Classics or you wanted to get in the spirit with the release of the Pit this Tuesday, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments, are there any weapons I missed, or are there any that I put on this list that just don't quite look as accurate as they should? I'd also like to know your thoughts on if I should do more of these videos. I've thought about doing one for armor and apparel, and maybe some other stuff like miscellaneous items or world objects. This video was really fun to make, and with the upcoming release of the Pit, this was definitely a well-timed one. So with that being said, I'd like to wish all of you guys a wonderful morning, evening, or night, and I'd like to see you guys all later.